think it goes right back to what you've said a few times. You didn't want to see it, okay? But that doesn't change the fact that you saw it, okay? And that's what you need to be truthful about. And I know it's hard to talk about. I know it's even harder to talk about than the sex part of it, okay? But you saw it, okay? You know you saw it. And we need to talk about that.
When I seen Mike with Tori on his lap, like, I turned my head because I didn't want to see it. I could hear her calling my name.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
The school day at Oliver Stevens ended at 3:25 on a Wednesday. Kids poured out through the front doors the way they always did. Backpacks, noise, the specific chaos of a few hundred children suddenly released into an April afternoon. Within minutes, the street was clearing out. One girl was still inside. She'd forgotten something. Her mother had recently redecorated her bedroom, thrown a little party for her friends, and somewhere in the excitement of the week, a pair of butterfly earrings had been left sitting on her desk. She ran back in to get them. 2 minutes. That's all it was. Her name was Tori Stafford. She was 8 years old. And when she walked back out of that school at 3:27 p.m., she walked into the last moments of her life. By 6:04 that evening, her grandmother had reported her missing. By midnight, investigators had pulled surveillance footage from a nearby high school, and on that footage, a small girl was walking alongside a young woman nobody could identify. Tori wasn't struggling. She wasn't crying. She was just walking, the way a child walks when they trust the person beside them. The woman was described as white, slim, early 20s, dark hair pulled back. Police made a public appeal. Tori's family offered $10,000 for her return. A Facebook group dedicated to finding her crossed 20,000 members inside a single day. None of it brought her home. 6 weeks later, investigators would sit across from the man responsible in a room not much bigger than this one and spend the better part of 2 hours trying to get him to say her name. He never did.
Come on in and grab a chair. Now that'll unfold, so that's a blanket for you there. Okay. And tea. I think they might have only put one sugar in. I think they got it mixed up. And there's a plain donut there for you. I had a cereal bar, but if you get hungry or anything else.
The blanket comes first. Before a single question is asked, before the word Tori has even been spoken in this room. Staff Sergeant Chris Lame places a folded blanket on the table in front of Michael Rafferty. Then a tea. Then a donut. It is, on its surface, an act of basic human decency. And that is exactly what it's designed to look like. What you're actually watching is the first move in a psychological sequence that Lom has executed many times before. The comfort isn't kindness, it's architecture. A warm room, a warm drink, a man who speaks to you like a person rather than a suspect. The message being sent before a single word of interrogation has been spoken is, you are safe here. You can talk here. Nothing bad happens here. The Ontario Provincial Police Behavioral Sciences Unit is considered one of the finest in the world. The man sitting across from Rafferty has spent 17 years inside the psychology of people who do terrible things. He knows exactly what he's doing. Rafferty pulls the blanket around himself and says almost nothing. He would sit wrapped in that blanket for the next hour and a half.
Just let me know, okay? Do you have any, eaten since noon. You haven't eaten since noon? Okay, are you hungry now? I can get you a full meal if you want.
Yes, okay.
Bacon and eggs, or do you want something else?
I'm too sick to talk.
Okay.
This is ridiculous.
That's okay. You can listen. And if you have any questions as we go along, there's no issues there at all, okay?
Okay.
I got a few things I'll talk to you about. As I told you, my name is Chris. My last name is Lone. I understand your name is Michael. Now, do you go by Mike or Michael? What's your preference?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. I'll probably call you Mike. So unless that really offends you, just leave it with me. I'm going to go over a few things here today. Okay, Mike? Like I say, don't be shy. You'll find I'm pretty relaxed, pretty laid back, because I've dealt with these types of issues before. Anytime that you have a question, all right, don't be shy. Now, I have no issues getting you any food there, so if there's something that you want, okay, I'll get you some food. There's no problems at all. Like I say, I get that for you in about 5 minutes. So, but my job is, as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm from what's called the Behavioral Sciences section, and we're talking about the missing person when Tori Stafford was missing. And I know you were following a little bit in the media, and you'd follow some little bits and pieces that there was behavioral sciences people involved, right? And sometimes they were criminal profilers. There's been other members in there as well. Threat assessment, and that's what one of my roles is as well. In threat assessment, what my job is to determine the risk. Okay, what's the risk of a certain situation? The situation that we're talking about is you're going to find here that there's nothing you're going to tell me to surprise me. Okay, for two reasons. One, I've heard a lot of this stuff before. The second reason is I'm fortunate enough to know what all the case facts are. Okay, so what I have to do is assess what I perceive is a threat. So are you going to go out and kill more people after this situation is done? Okay, that's what my job is, to assess threat level.
Lum tells Rafferty that he is here for one reason: threat assessment. To determine whether this man, once released back into the world, might do this again. It's a reasonable-sounding explanation. Clinical, bureaucratic, almost boring. It is also not true. Threat assessment of this nature, the kind that follows rape and murder, is determined long before any behavioral scientist enters a room. The crime itself is the assessment. A man who abducts, sexually assaults, and kills an 8-year-old child does not require a sit-down interview to establish his risk level. That has already been established, permanently. What Lum is actually doing is something more delicate. He is constructing a frame, a version of this conversation in which Rafferty is not a suspect being interrogated, but a subject being studied. Someone interesting. Someone whose inner world matters enough to examine. Someone worth understanding. Because a man who believes he is being understood is far more likely to speak than a man who believes he is being prosecuted. The cover story is for Rafferty's benefit, and Lum delivers it without a single visible seam.
All right, I already know you're responsible for one death, okay?
For any.
So that's what my job is to determine, okay, what's happened here, all right? Before we go through all that, though, my people just don't wake up one day and decide this is going to happen, and I know that, all right? So there's a lot of ideas that go in people's heads at the time, and if I go through, and I go through your history and your background, there's not a whole hell of a lot you've been involved in life, is there, right? You're completely under the radar. Anyways, I gotta go through a few things with you here, all right? Obviously, you're upset by what's going on. You're here for a reason, and right back at the beginning, the investigators and the case manager, the officer in charge, said that I'm going to follow the evidence and go where the evidence leads me. Okay? And now you're here because the evidence has led the investigators to you. All right? And then I get involved after that. There's been people that I work with in behavioral sciences that have been here from the outset of the investigation. But really, at this point in time, I mean, when I go in and look at your history, there's very little on there. Like I say, you've flown under the radar. You haven't had any major problems with the police. Okay, but now all of a sudden you're involved in this situation, and it's a serious situation, and it's a scary situation. I'm sure you're quite upset and quite concerned about what's going on here. All right. Now the last one I was involved with like this, I don't know if you're aware of it, was a girl named Holly Jones in Toronto when she went missing, and the guy that had abducted her, his name was Michael Briere. And what he was doing is he was watching on his computer for hours and hours and hours. He was looking at child porn to the point that he decides, I want to go try this. And he goes and he grabs Holly and he does some things to her, and then he realizes, what am I going to do? Okay? And he panics. He doesn't know what to do because she's a witness now. And he says, if I just let her go, she's going to tell on me. So he decides that he's not going to let her go. All right? And all that was from something as simple as watching child pornography for hours on end. These things happen, okay? And we can't say it happened close to home. Toronto's not that far from you, okay? These things happen all the time, all right? So what I need to do is sit with you. I already know how. I know the who's, right? Why? I mean, why is up to you, but I can actually probably fill in that blank for you, but that's not what my role here is. If I'm going to assess risk here and see, number one, do you even feel bad about what you've done? That's the first thing I look for. And number two, do I think, okay, he doesn't feel bad, so in turn he's probably going to do this again because he really doesn't care about it the first time it's happened, okay? I'm not at all upset with you. I'm not mad at you. I don't mind sitting here talking with you. You'll know if I don't want to talk to you because I'll just simply leave, right? From reading about you, this to me seems like it's out of character. Now, I could be wrong, right? You may have been planning this for a long period of time, and you may have thoroughly enjoyed this. And if I'm wrong, then you tell me that, all right? But I also know that we all make mistakes, okay? And that's why pencils have erasers, okay? Because we all make mistakes. It's that simple. Spending time with you here, and if I'm wrong, you tell me, but it looks like if you could turn back time, maybe there's a few decisions in life you'd made a little bit different, all right? If I could turn back time for you, Mike, I would. But it's not that simple, okay? So now you and I have to sit here and face what's happened, okay? I can sit and tell you what happened. I can take you through the day of her disappearance, okay? I mean, I've seen the video, all right? And I know that you didn't do this alone. And but at the end of the day, we got to deal with this situation, okay? Because it's a young girl that we got to talk about. And if you and I don't sit and talk about your side, then people will only think the worst, right? It's human nature, right? You've done it and I've done it. We always think the worst until we know the facts, okay? So that's what you and I need to sit here and work and discuss and work through. Again, if I'm wrong, you tell me, okay? But I really believe if you could turn back time, you would deal with this a little bit different, okay? And there may have been a rush, it may have been exciting for a period of time, but then reality sets in, and you have to sit and live with the fact of what's happened here, okay? And that's what we're doing here. We have to sit and deal with what's happened. Really, at this point, what you have left is your word and your credibility. And people always think the worst, okay? Until they know the truth. You do it and I do it. It's human nature. So we're all going to think the worst until we know why this has happened in your mind. And again, if it's something where you're like Michael Briere, where you looked at a lot of child porn and then decided you were going to try it, then that's fine. If it wasn't your idea, then that's fine too. But we can't change what the case facts are. All right? You know deep down that this is your chance to get it off your chest. You're not sitting there the rest of your life saying, I guess I should have said something. All right? I guess I should have got it off my chest and said my side. Because this is your last chance to do it. The fact that you're here and the fact that they've already, they know where the victim is, okay, and they know your steps, this is it. You have to take the steps now to live the rest of your life, okay? This is what you have to do. You and I need to talk about this, okay? So I've got to determine, as part of my job, when all is said and done here, do I think Mike's done? This is it. He's made his mistake. He realizes how wrong the mistake that he made, and he's willing to look past it? Or do I have to sit here and say, all right, my report's going to say very simple, I think this guy's going to reoffend. And that's what our job is. We deal with these types of situations and the reasons why people do this stuff, okay? Like I say, this may have been a thing that you just snapped and did something. That stuff happens. Or it may have been something you planned for many months and got some enjoyment out of the plan.
I didn't do anything.
Well, that's not entirely true either.
That is
okay?
entirely true.
No.
I didn't do anything.
No, you can try and cement yourself into that, okay? But at the same time, you're not doing yourself any good by not being truthful here.
45 minutes in. And there it is, the first time Rafferty speaks with any conviction at all. I didn't do anything. 4 words, flat, practiced sounding almost. Not the desperate plea of someone genuinely wronged. Not the kind of denial that comes with a raised voice or tears, or the physical urgency of a person watching their life collapse in real time. Just 4 words, delivered like a position statement, like something he decided to say before he walked in. Lomi doesn't pause, doesn't deliberate. The denial is barely finished before it's being dismantled. That's not entirely true, and the speed of that response is not accidental. The moment Rafferty is allowed to sit inside a denial, to repeat it, to build a wall around it, the wall becomes harder to take apart. So Lom takes it apart immediately, before the mortar can dry. What follows is the most important quiet moment of the entire interrogation's first hour. Rafferty tries again, that is entirely true, and the word entirely is new. He's reinforcing, doubling down, and Lomi, without raising his voice even slightly, simply tells him to stop. The denial is the most Rafferty will ever give this room.
Because by not being truthful, all you have left is your credibility, Mike. That's all you have left, okay? You're not the only person who's been arrested and charged, okay? And there's no surprises left anymore, okay? It's not even a surprise, it's why this happened.
I'm also not the only innocent person who's ever been arrested and charged.
Well, and that's true. There's been people that have been arrested for things where there's no evidence, but unfortunately in this case there's lots of evidence to determine your role in this crime, okay? The girl who's on the video who walks away with Tori has been identified, and she's been identified as her and Tori being in your car. And the three of you and her and Tori, go to the Guelph area, go to the Home Depot, okay? And the grabbing of Tori, there was a planned event that you were going to grab her. You're going to grab a girl, but this other person was going to do it, and the other person got the girl, put her in your car, all right? And then there's other steps that are taken from there. Okay, there's things that happen at Home Depot. There's things that happen outside of Guelph. And there's things that happen to Tori, all right, before she's gone. And you're involved in that, and you can't mask that. You can't change it. Okay.
No.
Because what's happened has happened. I can't turn back the hands of time, and neither can you. Okay. There's nothing I can do to turn back the hands of time and say, I wish Mike would have reacted to this situation a little bit differently. Okay. There's no doubt in my mind. Okay. There's no doubt in my mind that you're involved in the abduction, okay, of Tori. No doubt in my mind at all. I followed the evidence. I've read the file. Okay. There's no doubt in my mind. We're past that. Okay. And the only concern or the issue that I have is why you did this. What caused you to do this? Was it something you, like I say, is this something that you've done before and you've been involved in the death of other people and you enjoyed this? Am I sitting across the desk from Paul Bernardo here? Am I sitting across from someone who's made a mistake? Okay? And that's going to be the question that's asked of you. All right? I'll get you a bucket there just a second. If you got to get sick, fill your boots, sir. Okay? I've seen it before. You're not going to offend me or bother me. So if you got to be sick, Mike, go right ahead. Okay? I'll get you some paper towels or something.
No.
If you feel like you're going to be sick, just grab the. I'll have the bucket there handy for you. Okay? Just leave it right there. You and I need to have a discussion. This isn't a parking ticket. Okay? This is reality. Okay? And people are. I've already told you. You know this. People assume the worst until they know the truth. Okay? And people are going to assume the worst of you unless you and I sit here and clarify it. Okay? Something's pushed you to do this. Okay? You can't just fly under the radar your entire life. Okay, Mike? It doesn't happen. It's not realistic. Okay? I'm not going to sit and tell you that it happens. Something brings this on. And when you sit and talk to someone who had a troubled life like Michael Briere and just gets pushed into doing this and panics and thinks, what would it be like to take a kid and touch and rub a kid and then wish you could stop, okay? And people can't, and that's the whole issue here, all right? We can't control every emotion, all right? We can't control some of our urges, some of our thoughts. None of us can, okay? And I can't look you in the face and say I haven't made a mistake or made a bad decision in life, because I have. But the reality of it is, you and I have to accept that and move on, okay? Because I can walk out there and never see you again. Like, I can do that, right? My job here is done. The job here is done, as you'll find out tomorrow. As things...
At some point in this section, if you're watching closely, you might notice that what Loam is saying has stopped mattering. Not to Rafferty, to the strategy. The sentences are coming faster now, layering on top of each other before any one of them can be processed. Michael Briere, Holly Jones, Paul Bernardo, alcoholics and erasers and turning back time, and the cumulative effect is something closer to noise than argument. That is the point. When a suspect's mind is chasing the thread of what's being said, it cannot simultaneously be constructing a response, reinforcing a lie, or retreating into the psychological distance that silence requires. Lomi is not rambling. He is occupying. Every word is a small piece of cognitive real estate claimed inside Rafferty's head. The room gets louder in the only way that matters, not in volume but in density. There is simply no space left to think. And through all of it, Rafferty sits with his blanket and says almost nothing, which in its own way tells you everything.
Start to be released. There is no more questions. There is no more long, drawn-out investigations. They're already sending people home to spend time with their families, okay? They're scaling back what's happened because it's been cleared, and they know what's happened, and the pieces of evidence have been gathered. So that's reality. I can't downplay that. But you and I need to walk out of here together, okay, with what happened here. You and I have to sit and say, this is what pushed Mike over the top. This is what pushed Mike to get involved in something like this. Because if I don't, then you sit here on your own and you have to take it. Okay, and is that necessarily fair? All right?
I have to sit here on my own anyways and take this.
To an extent you do, yes. You have to sit there and decide, am I going to get rid of this and get this off my chest so people understand my side, or am I going to sit there curled up and keep it in for the rest of my life? All right? you need to be realistic about this, okay? You have no battle plan to deal with this, right? It's happened, it's spun out of control, and you're thinking, okay, if I ever get caught for it, what am I gonna do? Well, your plan isn't gonna work, okay? Because you're not built for this shit. This isn't what you're about, okay? You're not some sick bastard, right? That sits there and gets enjoyment out of hurting people, all right? So now you have to live with this, okay? And to live with it, one of the first ways, right? It's like if someone's an alcoholic, what's the first thing they have to do? Acknowledge they got the issue, all right? You have an issue here in that there's overwhelming evidence, compelling evidence that indicates you're involved in what's happened to Tori, okay? And I can't change that and you can't change that at this stage. But you need to be honest and you need to understand your credibility, Mike, is all you have left. All you have left from here on in is your credibility. And you sitting here saying nothing doesn't do you a bit of good because no one's gonna know. And then all of a sudden, 10 years from now or 5 years from now, you decide to say something, who's gonna listen? Nobody, okay? This is your chance to say your piece, all right? Like I say, if you want, and you can see probably I'm trying not to out of respect actually for you, but I can sit and get as graphic as I want, okay? Because none of this stuff bothers me because I've seen it hundreds of times, okay? But if I sit and go over what's happened here with Tori, you may not be real happy about it because it's going to cause you to relive all this crap, okay? And maybe you want to, because I can tell you I've sat with guys that wanted me to say it again so they could hear what they've accomplished. And I've had that, where they want me to say it 2 and 3 times because they get a rush out of that. I don't think that's you, okay? You're not some sick guy, okay? I'm not sitting across from Paul Bernardo, okay? I know that, and I know people that have sat across from him, okay? And I know 2 officers that have in different stages of their lives, okay? And I know what he's all about. You're not that guy, all right? But at the same time, you can't just sit here and say, well, I hope this all goes away, right? This isn't like a list your girlfriend gives you to say, here's a list of things to do. Can you go pick up a few things at the grocery store for me and get some gas? This isn't what that is, okay? This is a lot more serious than a to-do list. We need to deal with reality. And the reality of it is your credibility is all you have left at this point. If you sit there and say nothing, everybody's going to assume the worst, okay? And you may be painted with a picture that you're not real happy with, okay? And I'm the only one that feels like sitting in here with you, right? There's no investigators lined up in here sitting with you. Why do you think that is? Right? Because they've been working at this for weeks, okay? They're tired and they've been away from their families and none of them want to come in here and talk to you, okay? I have no issue with that. I'm neutral. I don't have these issues. I haven't been away from my family. I don't mind talking to you. Like, I've talked to people that have been involved in things far worse than what they're saying you did here. Far worse, okay? And I can sit and list the things that I've been involved in. There are people who have done things that have been a threat to our national security, terrorism in Canada, where I've dealt with people that have been involved in murdering more than 3 people, all right? I've been involved with people who have abducted and taken the life of children. I've been involved in that. I've dealt with many people who are sex offenders that habitually and repeatedly touch and molest children. I've dealt with that. That stuff doesn't bother me, okay? But what's going on here is that you're just in there, you're just a big bundle of nerves, and you don't know what to do. You don't know whether to sit here, shake, shit, puke, you don't know what to do. But the reality of it is, at the end of the day, the evidence is the evidence, okay? And the evidence clearly shows you're responsible for the abduction of Tori, okay? And I also know that she's no longer with us, okay? And you're responsible for that too, okay? And there's a sexual component to this as well. So you might want to sit and get this off your chest and go through your side with me, all right? Because if I just walk away, at minimum, that's what people are going to think, at minimum. But you have some explaining to do, okay? That's reality. I can't change that, okay? If this is something that got out of control, that you just planned on taking her and you thought you were going to put her back, or just take her for a ride, that's fine. If it got out of hand, then we need to talk about that, okay? You need to sit and explain that and say why, okay? If not, then I say people think the worst until they know. There is no other way. You don't have any other options. There's nothing else that you can do to change what's happened to her. We can't turn back time. However, we can explain how things got off the rails, whether it was something that happened slowly or just went right off the rails right from the beginning. Why do you think the OPP has a behavioral sciences section? This is all the stuff that we deal with, okay? We deal with occurrences that are unusual. We deal with situations that aren't regular situations, and that's not what this is. This isn't a regular situation. This is a couple of people that made a series of decisions that hopefully they understand aren't quite right and that they feel bad about. I don't think that you're some kind of monster. If I did, you'll find me pretty candid. You'll find that I'll come right out and tell you, Mike, okay? I don't think that, okay? I think this got out of control. I think it got out of hand, okay? Are you some kind of monster? Or did you make a mistake here? You made a mistake, right? This is a mistake, right, Mike? You'd take it back if you could? This is a mistake, right, Mike? You'd take it back? If you could turn back the hands of time, Mike, would you do this a little bit different? Mike, I'm talking to you. If you could turn back the hands of time, you're not some monster. You made a mistake, right? You'd take this back if you could? This is a mistake, Mike. You need to deal with this.
I am a monster,
I know
but
you're
I
not a
did
monster.
not do what you think
No,
I did.
I know you did. We're past that, okay?
No.
We're past that, Mike, okay?
Mm-mm.
I know you're not a monster. If you did, if I thought you're a monster, I would tell you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't just walk out. I would spend some time with you. If I thought you're a monster, just because I want to see what makes you tick. But you're not a monster, all right? This thing has consumed you. Look at you, right? You can barely eat or drink. You haven't touched your donut, right? Why is that? Because your guts are eating yourself up inside, okay? You can't sit and say that you're innocent and did all. What's the first thing you did when you got in here? You just laid down and curled up, right? It's all over. You know it's over, okay? You know it's done, okay? You don't have to be an expert in body language. All you've done is lay around in the fetal position since you've been here. That's not how innocent people act. That's not how people that are falsely accused of something act. It's the last thing they do.
Possibly that it's freezing. I haven't eaten since noon. It couldn't be that this is all just a huge shock.
The donut has been sitting on that table for nearly an hour. Lom points to it, points to the tea, points to the blanket still wrapped around Rafferty's shoulders, and then he says something that lands differently than everything that came before it. You just laid down and curled up. That's not how innocent people act. Rafferty's response is immediate, and for the first time, almost human. He's cold. He hasn't eaten since noon. It's a shock. Any of those things could explain a man huddled under a blanket in a police interrogation room, and he's right. They could. But what Lom is identifying is not the behavior in isolation. It's the specific behavior in a specific context. The fetal position, the untouched food, the silence that has nothing in it that sounds like outrage. These are not the responses of a man who has been wrongly accused of something monstrous. Wrongly accused men tend to fill the air. They tend to want to talk. The urgency of their innocence becomes its own kind of energy. Rafferty's energy, for the past hour, has been the energy of someone trying very hard to be somewhere else. The cold is real. The hunger is real. So is everything else in that room.
To me, no, it couldn't have been any of that at all.
It's probably all of that. But it's also the fact that you're involved in it. It's probably all of that, Mike, okay? The fact that maybe you haven't eaten that much and maybe you are cold, there's no question. The first thing you said to me was you're cold and hungry. So that's why I grabbed you that stuff, okay? And I'm willing to accept that. Maybe that is part of the issue, okay? But there is a larger issue here, okay? And it's the issue of the evidence and the issue that you're involved in this, okay? And we can't change that. I have no ill will, anger towards you. I have none. You don't make me mad. You don't upset me, nothing like that, okay? The only issue I have is I don't fully understand. I volunteered here to come here and shoot the shit with you because I've talked to people in worse situations than you, okay? And like I say, you've been pretty respectful with me. You're not giving me a hard time. You're not being rude to me. So I'll sit with you because, but you know, the reality of it is I can walk away and you're going to sit and deal with this on your own for the rest of your life. You're a smart guy. You're nobody's fool. You know the situation. You know you're in a tough spot. And again, this is your opportunity to say your piece. But you got some pretty serious explaining to do here, okay? In the big picture. Now, without me, if I just leave you here, you got some stuff that you need to explain. I've acknowledged already what my thoughts are of you, okay? I've told you that from the beginning, that this is out of character for you, okay? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's why you don't want to talk, because maybe you're thinking, oh, you know what, Chris, you're wrong. You know, maybe I've done this before. Maybe I planned on doing it again, all right? I don't think that, but I mean, you could be sitting here playing me, right? How would I know, okay? I can tell you that I don't think that's the case because I've sat across from a lot of people, again, that have been through stuff a lot worse than you. You made a mistake, man. Deal with it and we move on. I am concerned that you're just going to sit here and, oh, well, I'm going to take a chance. Maybe I'll just leave it and it'll all work itself out. Well past that, Mike. This is not going to work itself out, okay? We're past that. You need to acknowledge what's caused you to do this. And I never said for a second that you went and took that kid from the school, because you didn't. But that kid was taken from that school, all right, by Terry, and put in your car, okay? And you were there, and you were part of when the kid was driven to Guelph, okay, in the Home Depot. And then from there, the kid, into the demise of the kid. But this is the stuff we need to explain. Nobody can control your destiny now but you, okay? I can. I mean, I've already told you. I've already put my cards on the table. This is your chance, man. Do you not think you're going to feel better getting some of this off your chest as opposed to keeping it there forever? You know what I mean? I'll sit with you and do this. There's no issues with it at all. Like I say, I have no problem sitting with you, man. Why don't we just find a starting point and we'll do it? Because you're going to sit and stew forever. Sitting, oh, I should have said this or shouldn't I have said that, right? It's up to you. I mean, I've got situations where I wish I'd have told somebody something that I didn't, and I regretted it my whole life, okay? And it's situations with family members where you should have said your piece or you should have kept your mouth shut. But we all have those experiences. But this is your chance to say your piece, all right? And I think you and I should take that chance. I think you and I should just sit and have that discussion. How is it going to get worse, right? It can't. And obviously, to an extent, someone's put you in this position, right? And we need to deal with that.
You want me to tell you things I didn't do so I can get locked up for the rest of my life for this?
No, that's not. I don't want you to tell me things you did not do. No. I'm going to ask you a question. What's your biggest fear or your biggest concern now that you've been charged with this? What's your biggest concern here?
Losing my life.
Okay. All right.
I want to know what this girl Terry said.
Okay. She acknowledges that she grabbed Tori and brought her to your car, that it was your wishes, that you sent her there with certain things that you were looking for in a victim, and she took her. And you guys drove on the highway and did the Home Depot thing, which I talked about, left the Home Depot, went to a secluded area, you had sexual relations with Tori, and Tori was killed. This is your time, man. This is as good as it gets, unfortunately. All right? This is it. And, I mean, I can get into more detail if you want, but in a nutshell, that's a polite way of saying what the allegations are. But if there's stuff, if there's other people here, what's happening, man?
What's this process? What happens?
What happens next? After you and I are done talking, you go back to your cells. Tomorrow morning, you'll have what's called you'll be brought into court, and the charges will be read to you again, and there'll be a discussion if you get out of custody for bail, and then they may schedule a bail hearing to determine that. And then from there, it's a matter of where it goes from the courts. The investigation will go on for a little while yet. There's a couple things that, as I told you earlier, need to be done. And then in the big picture, you're facing these charges. The reality of it is we can just sit and deal with the issue here, just as easy.
I'd rather deal with this issue in court.
All right.
All right.
Member Sec? I understand Mike here wanted to see what Terry Lynn had to say. Mike, Terry Lynn's still speaking to my partner, okay? This is the girl you killed, all right? She's not missing anymore. She's dead. Terry Lynn was asked today if she wanted to call a lawyer 4 times. She said no, all 4 times. She went through 2 boxes of Kleenex. All right? She says on the 8th of April, Wednesday the 8th of April, 2009, at 3:30 in the afternoon, you drop her off at Pavey, south of Fife, south of the public school, where Tori walks out of. You tell her to get a girl, and you want her young. She walks up the street, you drive up to the old age home and you park your car. She walks up to Tori. Tori's nice to her. She trusts her. She holds her hand for a little bit. She walks up the street with her. Terry Lynn tells her about her little dog, gets her across the street to her car, opens the back door. Tori doesn't like it anymore. She pushes her in the car. You start driving. She says she's freaking out. She says she's worried about you. She's scared about what you're going to do. She says you guys hit the 401. You start driving to Guelph. You park outside a house. You go in for a little while. You come out with some drugs, she thinks. And you drive to the Home Depot. You park at the end of the parking lot. You tell her it's her turn to get out of the car. You tell her to go in there. You give her some cash because you don't want to use your debit card so you don't track it. She goes in there. She gets garbage bags like she's told to do, and she comes back out. Then you go driving. And you pull into a farmer's field right across from a house, to the point where you're even asking her if anybody can see you. And what does she do? She says she goes for a walk because she doesn't want to see what happens. And then she comes back. And you're not sitting in the front seat anymore, Mike. You're sitting in the back seat. And she's not liking what she sees. So she walks away again.
She goes for a walk. Of all the details in Terry McClintock's account, the garbage bags, the cash, the hammer, the field, it is this one that sits heaviest because it is the detail that most clearly describes what it felt like to be there. McClintock, who lured this child, who put her in the car, who carried the hammer, even she could not watch. She went for a walk. And when she came back, Rafferty had moved from the front seat to the back. Smith delivers this with the flatness of a man reading a police report. No drama in his voice. None needed. The sentence structure alone does the work. She goes for a walk. She comes back. You're in the back seat now. Present tense almost, as if it's still happening in some room, in some field, somewhere outside of this building. Rafferty says nothing. He has been saying nothing for the better part of 2 hours, but this nothing is different. This is the nothing of a man who has just heard the back seat of his own car described in a police interrogation and has understood perhaps for the first time that the woman he brought into this crime has given them the back seat. She gave them everything.
Then she comes back and you make her hold one of those garbage bags while you put some of your clothes and her jacket and a hammer in the garbage bag. Then you drive to a gas station. She never sees Tori again. You drive to that gas station, you get out, you wash up, you dump the bag. You drive back to Woodstock. That's Terry Lynn's story, Mike. That's Terry Lynn's story while she bawls her eyes out through 2 boxes of Kleenex. And I ask her 4 times, hey, you want to call a lawyer? She says, I don't need to call a lawyer. I feel so bad about what happened. I just want to tell you all about it. That's what you're up against.
Terry Lynn's a liar.
Well, you're the only person that can tell us that, bud.
I just did.
You gotta be careful though, Mike, because some of the shit she said is backed by not just video but other evidence, but also some of the explanations that she gave as well are verified. And that's a little more graphic than I said it, but yeah, there is some stuff that she says that is true. There's no question. I'm not going to say it's not. But
How old are you, Mike? 28 years old? You want to tell us your side of the story? Get rid of your fucking security blanket and start being a man. Because it's not going to be her semen that we find on her body. When we look at the areas underneath the parts of the seat that you cut out, we're going to find her blood. Do you know how blood works? Do you know about red blood cells, white blood cells? White blood cells are thinner. They look like spit when they're separated from red blood cells. They're the ones that seep through into the foam. That's what we get the DNA from. skin cells from her rubbing up and down against your seats in your car. Tori Stafford is all over your car. All over it. And Terry Lynn explains everything that she knows we're going to find. You're explaining nothing. So I don't give a fuck if you say one more word and tell you the truth.
All right, we're done then.
Well, I'm done with you anyway.
Okay.
This officer here is trying to understand what the hell you're going through. I don't care.
Who are you?
I'm the lead investigator here.
Okay.
Okay?
Terry Lynn's full of shit.
Well, that's going to be a funny thing for you to say in court, isn't it?
No.
Because how's the DNA going to be full of shit, Mike? Huh? How's the biologist from the Center for Forensic Sciences going to be full of shit? How's the pathologist that examines her body going to be full of shit? Explain that to me.
I'll be careful, Mike. That's a dangerous road to go up. If there's something you and I can clarify with what she said, then let's clarify it. But we can't just sit here with a blanket statement that she's full of shit, because there is some things that's truthful. And then by you saying that takes away your credibility. So we gotta be very careful with that.
I'm done with him.
Yeah.
This officer's got his job to do, Mike. He's got a different job than I do. For my investigation, you keeping your mouth shut is the best thing can happen. So keep on keeping it shut.
Okay.
Well, you know more than I told you anyway. It wasn't quite as eloquent as I would have put it, but anyways. At the same time, what he's saying is right. Like, I did watch what she was saying, and she was very emotional, there's no question. And she did go through Kleenex, there's no question of that. And she was upset, and there's stuff that she said that, I mean, was clearly known ahead of time by the investigators, and there's stuff that was said that, by her saying it, later proved out to be confirmed other ways. So don't, no, I can't say don't, you can do whatever the hell you want, but just be careful going up that road. Anyways, but if, like I say, I have no issues on that. That doesn't change my opinion, our discussion, to be quite honest. I mean, they've got their opinions, and obviously they're getting sick of listening to me, so they've come in and said their piece. But like I say, I've got no, I'm not pissed with you, so I'm not, but like I say, this is your chance. This is your chance to say your piece. And I'm sitting here willing to listen to it.
Well, he just told me not to say anything more, so.
Well, that's up to you. You don't say anything to him.
That's what he said, though.
He doesn't want you to talk to him, but that's fine. I'm still interested in listening to you. Do you want to talk about the part of the school where she's grabbed? We can discuss that and see what your thoughts are there.
I'm not saying anymore.
Why?
Because of the officer, because of what the lawyer said. Now it's everything. I just don't.
What do you think is going to happen next?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Someone runs in here and starts barking. You just want me to say whatever. You just want me to say things. So it's open and closed.
No.
So it's over and done with. That's it. This is how it is. Nothing more to talk about.
No, actually, because actually, that's fair. That's a very fair statement, actually. But I got to tell you, in this case, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm compelled and I'm interested to listen to what you have to say. But does it open and shut this case? No.
I'm done.
Why?
I'm not talking anymore.
How come?
I've already told you why.
Just because of all the different angles and all that?
I just don't feel comfortable talking about it.
So you're prepared then to just leave it like this and you're going to ride it out from here, see where it goes?
Yep.
You think that's the best way to do it?
I don't know. I've never been in this chair before. I don't know.
Any questions of me? Need something to eat?
Yeah, but you don't care if I need something to eat.
Why would you say that?
Because you don't.
I wouldn't ask if I didn't care.
You're here for your job.
Nope. I could have walked out. I don't have to ask you because you got a phone right here, right? But the reality of it is, I know that you're going to go back and sit and sleep or do whatever for a while, and you'd be better to do it on a full stomach. That's all it is to it, man. But I don't have to ask you if you want food, but I am prepared to get you food.
So
That's
I can
reality.
eat, and then you can say, "Well, look, he had an appetite. This is how he must have been feeling. Oh, he drank his tea. This is how he must be feeling." Forget the fact he's just starting.
He hasn't touched the donut. He asked for a full meal an hour ago. By his own account, he hasn't eaten since noon, and now when food is offered again, his first instinct is not hunger. It's optics. What will it look like if I eat? What will they write about a man who can sit in this room and have an appetite? There is something deeply revealing about this particular calculation, not because it proves guilt, but because of what it shows about how Rafferty's mind is organized right now. He is not falling apart. He is not dissociating. He is sitting in an interrogation room, 2 hours into being confronted with the murder of an 8-year-old girl, and he is managing his image. The hunger is real. He says so himself, and you believe him. But the performance of a man too consumed by grief and shock to eat, that is also real. And somewhere in the space between those two realities, Rafferty is doing the math, quietly, while wrapped in his blanket, trying to figure out which version of himself costs less. That is not what innocence looks like. That is what survival looks like.
You're reading too much into it, man. No, that's not what it is at all. I offered you something to eat because I thought if you're hungry, you can eat it. I don't care if you eat it or not, right? I mean, it's up to you. It doesn't matter to me if you eat or you don't eat.
And that doesn't go in anywhere in any of your reports.
What's that?
That I ate or not ate.
No, because it's on the video. It doesn't matter if you eat or not. I don't have to write any report. My report doesn't say if you ate or not. My report says, like I say, it's your appetite at this point doesn't matter, really. I come in here, I sat to explain to you what the evidence was. Had a discussion. Actually, I don't think there's any animosity between us. So we had a discussion about what the case facts are, and that was it. So it doesn't matter to me if you eat or not, but it was a legitimate offer. If you want something, I'll arrange for you to get it. There's no issues that way. But you read too much into it, man. Do you want something to eat?
I need something to eat, yes.
All right. I'll get you something to eat. Look at me. Take it easy.
Let's have some. Hey, Mike. I'm a pretty get down to the facts kind of guy. I'm sure you've realized that from our brief encounter earlier. All right. This is not rocket science. I've got what Terry Lynn has told me this afternoon, and I've got you. This is your opportunity. Terry Lynn's sitting right here. Tell us she's a liar. You've had no problem at saying without her in the room.
Terry's a liar.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping.
You're not even looking at her.
I don't need to look at her.
You haven't been looking at anyone.
I don't need to look at anyone.
See, Mike, I know I was right when I walked in here, okay? And I'm not gonna pull any punches. Let's face it, I'm a cop, all right? And the last 5 weeks, I've been trying to find out who killed an 8-year-old girl. Okay? And I know the guys from behavioral sciences, they got their thing. They're trying to understand why that's what they do.
You guys all work together.
Yeah, we do. They're good people. They know their job very well. And sure as hell, I'd like to know why. All right? I'd like to think that we don't have people walking around our communities who just because they're bored on an afternoon say, hey, why don't we grab that girl and rape and murder her? Okay? I'd like to think that we live in a community where people think a little bit more about what they're going to do than that. Do you think you're coming off as an innocent guy? Do you think you're looking like somebody who's been wrongfully accused here?
You're gonna see it however you want to see it. My lawyer, or the lawyer, instructed me to just say,
Yeah, I know, Mike. I know what your lawyer
Simply-
instructed you to say. But that doesn't make you an innocent man. That makes you a man who's saying, holy fuck, what am I going to do now?
nothing I do is gonna change your opinion. So I might as well just follow the lawyer's advice.
Well, you're right there, Mike. Nothing you do is going to get you walking out of this police station tonight without being charged with murdering Tori Stafford. You're right. You know how much media coverage this has. You know what the newspapers are going to do with this and to your family tomorrow. Okay? You think the cops are going to be talking to everybody you ever spoke to in your life? That's nothing compared to what the media is going to be doing. This is a huge story for them. This is the next Paul Bernardo. Whether you like it or not, a girl and a guy kidnapping an 8-year-old girl and murdering her. That's one of the most sensational things that have happened in this province since Bernardo and Carla. It's going to be a frenzy, and you and I both know that. You know what a psychopath is, Mike?
I have never met one.
Well, I just met one tonight.
I just find it funny how you can go full sure on something when you don't know.
For the past 2 hours, Detective Smith has been a presence at the edge of this interrogation, tactical, purposeful, controlled. The bad cop to Lom's good, the pressure valve. The raised voice to contrast with the reasonable one. This is no longer that. When Smith says, "I just met one tonight," the professional architecture collapses. Not with violence, not with volume, just with the specific, unguarded quality of a man who has stopped performing a role and started saying what he actually thinks. 5 weeks, an 8-year-old girl, and the man responsible is sitting 3 feet away, wrapped in a blanket, asking about his dinner. Rafferty's response is almost poised. I just find it funny how you can go full sure on something when you don't know. It's the most coherent sentence he has produced in 2 hours. Articulate. Almost lawyerly. The emotional disorganization he has been performing falls away for just a moment and something else surfaces. Something cooler and more familiar with this kind of pressure than it should be. Smith called him a psychopath. Rafferty's response did not disprove it.
Well, Mike, when somebody tells me that they were present when a man killed an 8-year-old girl...
Somebody told you that.
Mm-hmm, she did.
Okay.
When that happens, okay, we don't say, oh, well, maybe after we go golfing for the week, we'll go and see Mike and see what he has to say. That's not the way it works.
No, so let's just pick him up and then say, yep, you did it. Because that's obviously got to be the right way to go about things.
Yeah. So, the last thing I cover off with everybody I talk to in situations like this, Mike, is pretty straightforward, okay? Rodney Stafford and Tara McDonald have to be notified about this. Okay. First question out of their mouth is going to be, what? Did they say why they did it?
I'm sure one of those two will have the answer for you, why somebody would do it.
What are you getting at, Mike? What are you throwing out there for me, buddy?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're going to talk to them anyways.
You know what, Mike? If you're going to claim you have no involvement whatsoever, don't play games with me and throw out little hints and see what comes of it.
There's no game, there's no little
Okay?
hints.
There's nobody involved in this except for you and Terry Lynn.
done.
Is that what you said to Tori before you killed her? We're done?
Funny man.
Funny man. That's what you think this is funny
I
man?
think you're a funny man.
I think you're a cold-blooded killer. Because you and I haven't spent too much more time now than you forced Tori Stafford to spend in your car. You could have let her out anywhere along that route. You could have killed her without sexually assaulting her. And that's what I wanted to sit across from tonight. See what it's like to sit across from a guy who, when he abducts an 8-year-old girl, is so turned on by it that before he kills her, he has to have sex with her. So if you ask me why I'm sitting in this room, I'm sitting in this room for Tori. Making you squirm, putting you through some of the grief that you put her through. That's why I'm in here, Mike.
This is the moment the investigation ends and something else begins. Smith has already said what needed to be said professionally. The evidence has been laid out. The account has been delivered. The techniques have been exhausted. What happens in the next 60 seconds has no tactical value whatsoever. It is just a man sitting across from the person who raped and murdered a child, saying, "I am here because she deserves someone to be here." There is no strategy in it, no manipulation, no designed emotional arc. For the first time in nearly 2 hours, the room contains something completely unscripted. A detective who has spent 5 weeks with Tori Stafford's case file, who has looked at the surveillance footage of a small girl walking toward a stranger's car, who has read the forensic reports, who has sat across from McClintock while she went through 2 boxes of Kleenex, and who is now looking directly at the man responsible. 8 years old Mike. Rafferty does not respond. He has not responded to anything that mattered tonight. He will maintain that silence through a trial, through a verdict, through a sentence of life without parole. The evidence will speak for him instead. But in this room, in this moment, what Smith is doing is not about evidence. It's about Tori, about the fact that someone in this building, on this night, said her name to the man who took her and meant it. She deserved at least that much.
And I'm having a good time. You are a sick puppy, Michael. Eight years old, Mike. 8 years old, buddy. All she wanted to do was go home and have a little party for her friends because her mom just redecorated her room for her. That's pure evil, bud. And that's exactly what the judge is going to see. That's what you are. No remorse, no empathy, no nothing. You're just hollow. The nice thing about the place you're going to be spending a good chunk of your life is they actually have glass cells. So you and Bernardo can make googly eyes at each other all day, whatever you guys do in there. So it's nice meeting you, Mikey. Enjoy the rest of your life. This is the kind of room you're going to be spending it in.
And it was all for this little girl right here. Not just Tori, but for every little child in Canada that doesn't deserve what happened to her.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. 31-year-old Michael Rafferty has been found guilty of murdering, kidnapping, and sexually assaulting 8-year-old Tori Stafford. It's been nearly 10 very long weeks of trial in London, which is where Laura Zilke has been covering this story since the very beginning.
In the courtroom, when the verdict was read out, there was a collective sigh of yes for each time one of those guilty verdicts was read out through friends and family. That came with the reading of each verdict. Guilty of first degree, guilty of abduction, and guilty of sexual assault. Lawyers from both sides of the story came out to speak with us as well. Their reaction, everyone appreciating that justice was done here, and every one of them also thanking the work that the jury had to do for having to sit through this case for, as you mentioned, Carolyn, almost 10 weeks.
It's been a long and difficult trial for everybody. The trial is finally over, so that's a good thing. but the verdict means that the jury has found that Michael Rafferty did kidnap, sexually assault, and murder Victoria Stafford, and our thoughts are with Victoria's family.
Is it a hard decision for you to take cases like this?
It's never easy, but honestly, I mean, somebody has to take them. I get asked that question more often than almost anything else. How can you do a case like this? How can you defend such a person? The reality of it is that everybody in our system deserves a strong, proper, and effective defense.
Even before going into the courtroom, there was really a sense of excitement. I think a lot of the family thought that because the verdict did come so quickly, just over a day of deliberations, they truly believed that this was going to be a guilty verdict. Then going into the courtroom, that simply continued. The relief that went over this, it was really almost unbelievable to hear the sighs that went through everyone in that courtroom. Carolyn.
Both Michael Rafferty and Terry Lynn McClintock were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years.